Your story has power when it's shared, not when it's stuffed into somebody, okay? Your journey has meaning when it's modeled, not just mentioned. There are some tools for walking out of the tent of your past. So, how do you move forward? How do you stop rehearsing and start releasing? Here's some tools that have helped me, and I think that may help you too. Hello, welcome to the Shattered Mindset Podcast, where we explore the pivotal moments that reshape your thinking, challenge our beliefs, and help us walk into a new way of living. I'm your host, Melvin Larry, and today we're diving into something that every single one of us carries, whether we talk about it or not, and that's our past. Now, let me say this right up front. Your past may explain some things, but it doesn't define everything about you. Let me repeat that for you, okay? It might explain why you react the way you do sometimes, why you avoid certain people, places, or opportunities, but it does not get the final say on who you're becoming. Today's episode is titled Making Peace with Your Past Without Pitching a Tent There. How about that? Let's talk about it a little bit, all right? Think about the baggage we all carry. Look, all of us, me, you, the person driving to work right now, the person folding laundry, the young person trying to figure out who they are, we all carry baggage from the past. Now, here's the problem. Some people don't just carry the baggage, they unpack it, pitch a tent, and build a life in a place they were only meant to pass through. Isn't that something? They don't even realize that they've done it. But emotionally, mentally, sometimes spiritually, they've set up camp in a painful moment, a failure, a betrayal, a bad decision. And the danger in pitching a tent there, you start building your identity around the wound instead of the wisdom. Look, I was shy and introverted as a young person through my teens. I had big thoughts. I most frequently didn't express my thoughts. All right. I carried this in large part into adulthood. Only through my exposure to personal development, books, and listening and so forth did I begin to come out of my shell. The truth is, I always knew that there was something in me bigger than I was displaying. I just didn't have the confidence or the understanding of how to find the bigger me. Let me give you something to hold on to. The past is a place of reference, not residence. You go back into it to learn, you revisit it to reflect, but you don't live there. You don't mail out invitations saying, hey, come visit me in 1998. That's where I've been stuck since everything went wrong. No, no, no. Look, I say that with love because I know what that feels like. Some people can't move forward because they're still explaining themselves, wishing, and using outdated language. Still saying, I messed up, I failed, I was abandoned, I was cheated, I was overlooked. And those things may have happened, but they are not who you are, who we are. Let's talk about the difference between peace and denial. Here's something, listen, that we have to get straight. Peace is not pretending it didn't happen. No, no. Peace is when you can tell the story without the pain telling it for you. Denial says, I'm fine, lie. Okay. Peace says, that hurt, but it doesn't own me anymore. So let me ask you something. Okay. Can you tell your story without flinching, without needing to justify or defend every part? Can you speak about your past with clarity instead of shame? If not, you may not be at peace with it yet. Look, while scripting a recent episode for my podcast, something exposed a wound I hoped had healed. I was in my mid 20s seeking and pushing to get into supervisory management role with the company that I worked for. been there for about 9 years. I received an unexpected, I felt undeserved comment on my performance review that described me in a way that I thought was far from accurate. What's worse is that it was only one sentence, but I found myself battling against that statement for much of my life. Look, in one set of instances, I would think resentment for the supervisor or manager for saying it. And in another, I would consciously speak positivity in the opposite to counter her words. When my thoughts or actions were less than what I thought they should be, I would push aside her statement to allow it or her to paint a picture of me to justify the thought or the action. You see, lessons are meant to be carried, not the weight. It's the lesson to be carried. Now, hear me clearly. Your pain came with the lesson, but the lesson is not pain. The lesson is growth. The mistake we make is thinking we have to carry the whole experience with us like a backpack full of bricks, when really we were just supposed to carry the lesson. So here's my challenge to you. What are you carrying right now that's no longer teaching you anything? What are you still holding on to that's already done its job? Look, I want to encourage you to unpack the weight and only carry the wisdom. Now, look, I think about a time when pain taught you something, whether in leadership, business, or personal relationships, and you now use that wisdom to help others. Like the time I met with a prospect to talk about my business, I did well to listen, to ask her questions, and listen to her talk about her business. But I got so engrossed in her message that I left without implanting my message to her. Was it because her message was so strong, or was I just not prepared enough? I never got that business. But I made it a lesson to never let happen again. And rather than letting that weigh me down, I just kept it moving. It affected me, but it didn't define me. But how do you know if your past is winning? Let me give you some signs. Here's how you know if you pitched a tent in your past. You keep rehearsing the same story over and over, but it still hurts like it happened yesterday. You protect your pain instead of processing it. You use phrases like, that's just how I am, when really that's just where you got stuck. You struggle to fully receive love, joy, or opportunity because part of you is still waiting for the other shoe to drop. Listen, if you're still fighting ghosts, you're not free. And if you're still building around brokenness, you haven't moved. This is your wake up call. Break down the tent. Here's some generational wisdom. What your kids and grandkids also need to know. Now, I'm speaking to the man like me. Maybe you're 40 something or 50 something or beyond. Okay. Well, maybe this is more like me, the beyond part. All right. And I'm also speaking to my kids, to my grandkids, and to anyone out there trying to figure out how to handle the past. Let me tell you this. You don't have to hide your scars. You just have to heal from them. Our kids don't need us to be perfect. They need to know that healing is possible. I recently sat with one of my adult sons and shared with him some things, some struggles that I had faced when he was young. He said, I never knew that. I said, you weren't supposed to at the time. You just needed to get your education and do the things that kids need to do. You needed to learn, you need to play ball, you need to not have that stress upon you. It was for me to handle. But now that you're of age, I can share that with you because I moved on from that. I healed from that. You never knew that because you never saw that something that I faced took me down because I kept it moving. And now I'm letting you know that today, or when we talk, to let you know that you can have challenges, but you can heal from those challenges. All right. Your story has power when it's shared, not when it's stuffed into somebody. Okay. Your journey has meaning when it's modeled, not just mentioned. There are some tools for walking out of the tent of your past. So, how do you move forward? How do you stop rehearsing and start releasing? Here's some tools that have helped me, and I think that may help you too. Start with journaling. Write the truth about what happened and what you've learned from it. There's reframing, changing how you talk about it. Say that made me wiser instead of, oh, that almost ruined me. Then there's forgiveness, not for them, but for you. You don't have to carry it any longer. You also need counseling or membership. Talk to someone who won't let you pitch a tent when you were meant to build a bridge. Look at faith and declaration. Speak your future louder than your failures. Whatever tool you choose, use it. But don't just let this be a podcast you listen to and nod at your head to. Do something with it. As a final word, you're not stuck. You're sent. Look, your situation may have just happened so that you can help someone else. Maybe your challenge made you not a victim, but a messenger. You're carrying it for a reason that's bigger than you. Here's the thing that I want you to remember. You were never meant to camp in the place that hurt you. You were meant to carry a message from it. Your past doesn't disqualify you. Your scars don't make you less worthy. In fact, those very marks can be the message that unlocks healing in somebody else. So don't stay in the tent, tear it down, pack your wisdom, and move forward. Here's a challenge for you. Before this week is out, I want you to just do a couple of things. Name the place in your past that you've been visiting too often. Give it a name. Write down one lesson you've learned from that place. Declare out loud, this no longer defines me. I carry the wisdom, not the wound. And remember, the past might be part of your story, but you get to choose what kind of chapter it becomes. Hey, thank you for spending this time with me today on the Shattered Mindset podcast. If this message hit home for you, if you're ready to stop living in the past and start learning from it, then I want to hear from you. Give me a like to this episode, subscribe, send me a comment, and even more importantly, share the message with someone else who's been stuck too long. So until the next time, I'm Melvin Larry, reminding you that you don't have to be who you were when you can choose who you become. We'll see you soon. Take care, take charge, and God bless.